Pecha Kucha 56 chalk brush sketches. Me and the Mystic Moore did no daily sketches this week, but I still managed to actually stay busy because getting into that habit has actually made me far more productive on a regular basis. And for this week, I was just like, just draw a picture of Venom, you know. So I did. I did a little thumbnail on some paper, and then I thought, let's just draw a bigger one in Manga Studio. Nothing, you know, ambitious. Let's just sit in the chair and get some work done. So I you know, just put something together, and then I kind of started like applying paint to it, and I meant to come back to it and like tighten it up and all of these things. I guess I still will, but I kind of got distracted pretty early on in the week by like messing around with the chalk brushes. In fact, it was probably figuring out how I was going to do Venom's black and looking at different textures. So I was listening to some like music from like Super Castlevania, yeah, the SNES game, on YouTube, and as I was listening to it, I just kind of decided to draw what was in my head from the music, like the memories and that stuff. So that's like Simon Belmont looking over the castle in the distance, and I just liked the idea of it being like solid blacks, and I just started playing around with the chalk brush. You know, skeletons welcoming you to the ball where all the guests are ghosts. You know, this is combining like enemy types from the game with just the mood of some of the music. You know, it's all one layer. I'm just applying the brush. I've got black and I've got white Medusa, and I used the blending tool to do her cuirass. It's really too shiny, and this has kind of informed me going forward. I try to not. I like the grain that I get with the chalk brushes. Dracula having a nice old time. The old school Dracula as well, like the Bela Lugosi. In fact, this is the kind of Dracula that was in the earlier Castlevania games as well. Like this underchin thing isn't something I do very often, so I'm quite happy with how this turned out. This is maybe more the kind of thing I draw, some kind of silly cartoon thing, you know. Simon and Dracula just posing for photographs. Uh, yeah, I really love the grain effect you can get when you just apply so many kind of soft brush strokes. This is how I use pencils. You know, Death, the Grim Reaper. You know, play him at a game of chess, and maybe you can get your life back. Unlikely. Yeah. See, I mean, what I love about chalks as well is the texture of. Look at his skull. Like it's messy, but it adds like it's a little bit of lighting and highlights on parts of his skeleton, which you know are much easier to come across without actually trying. You know, I was trying some weird stuff with Bison here, like he's doing some kind of Fist of the North Star hand thing. Didn't really work, but it's fine. The whole point of all of this stuff is just to be sitting in the chair and doing stuff. And his grin's winning, so it's still a great picture of Bison, the other Mr. Powers of Powers and Powers, Geese Howard. Yeah, I just thought I'd do something after that Bison thing. I just thought I'd calm down, do something utterly unassuming, and just have Geese looking hench and mean and enjoying what I can do with chalk brushes. So I also thought, you know, let's try and do some headshots for the Seven Demon characters. And as I'm figuring out how I want them to look, I'm kind of redesigning them a little bit, trying to make sure that they can carry some emotive content. You know, doing little facial expressions. That was Motokanai. This is Zen Bar, looking the most snaky he's ever looked, but his head and the way it works from different angles is still like an area of contention for me. I need to figure out a lot more and probably go sort something out on like Google SketchUp or something. A 3D model might help. Julie, halfway through doing her, I kind of got bored, so that's why I didn't do the side and the 3/4 view. But yeah, the different characters seem to do different emotions in a different way, so that means that I am going to be covering a lot of ground with these characters visually as well as when they actually say stuff. So I went back and did a bit more vampire-y stuff. You know, I really am loving this old school Dracula with the inverse eyes and the slick back hair and the big collar. I think it was really working with the chalks, Nosferatu and some kind of dream from Sandman thing going on. So at this point, I was listening to what, Castlevania 64, and like Dracula is reincarnated as a kid or something in this, and you meet him as Richter Belmont. So I just thought I'd mock up some representation of this, but putting Richter in the foreground actually cut out like the central interest point, so I didn't kind of continue. James whatever from Silent Hill 2. I don't know why I got the idea to draw Binhead lurking around the corner, but you know, I was disinclined to fight the urge, so I'd put some lines down. After looking at One Punch Man like yesterday, I felt the urge to put a page of comics together, several panels. So I was messing around with Manga Studio Pro's panel options, did something basic, and then filled the panels with images after the fact, and then I used the chalks. It's not very often I actually use the blur tool, the smudge tool, whatever it's called, the blend tool. It's really good for skin, but when you use it on materials, you need to kind of go back in and add more texture. So it's something I'm definitely starting to play with, and because I didn't want to to-do list again. Here's the meme of the week. Exhibit, a yo dog. Those memes are all over the place. It turns out Exhibit's aware, and he wants to put a stop to that. But I'm sure he already knows at this point that that's not how the internet works. But yeah, if I learned anything today, I learned that Exhibit doesn't like being a yo dog meme, or at least he didn't at the time he took this selfie. The irony is I'm not convinced he even added that text, so he needed to be memed to be unmemed, and he's probably been re-memed again. But that brings us to the end of Pecha Kucha 56. I'll see you next time.